Trump recently had a civil judgment against him. And this is based off of, if I'm not mistaken, a accusation that's made against him in 2019, 2020, but based off of something that happened 30 years ago. Again, remember, ladies and gentlemen, that everything that happens in this world, it always comes back down to the money. So let's go ahead and get it popping. I love you. I appreciate you. Let's turn it up, ladies and gentlemen.
A federal jury found Donald Trump liable for the sexual abuse and defamation of writer E. Jean Carroll and ordered him to pay $5 million in damages.
How do you feel?
Trump called the verdict a disgrace in a message on his social media network, Truth Social.
So he said, I absolutely have no idea. This is what he said when he put it down on social media. All right, because they just going to gloss over this part. And they're going to highlight what it is that happened in court. But this is what Trump's statement is. He says, I have absolutely no idea who this woman is. This verdict is a disgrace, a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time. So before we get into this, do y'all think that it's a witch hunt against Donald Trump? I'm going to save my thoughts for a little bit later. But do y'all think that this is a witch hunt against Donald Trump?
Corinne Ramey covers New York investigations into Donald Trump and has been following the civil trial for The Journal. She explains what you need to know about the case and what the consequences are for Trump.
This lawsuit was filed in 2022 by E. Jean Carroll, a writer and advice columnist. She alleged in the lawsuit that Donald Trump raped her in the dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman's, a Manhattan department store in the mid-1990s.
So this is what she's saying. All right, you ready?
His shoulder against me, to hold me against the wall. And at that point, I realized that I was in a very difficult situation.
Her lawyers tried to show that Trump had what they call an MO.
This is crazy, yo. This is absolutely crazy. All right. To know that you can be accused and it ain't no evidence, there is no witnesses. Who's to say that this man even knows this lady? Think about what's happening here. Remove your bias for or against Trump. Remove your bias for or against Trump. And yes, I am going to tackle the whole Tucker Carlson thing tomorrow. Remove your bias against or for him. So it doesn't matter if you support him, if you're looking to vote for him, if you rock with him. And it does not matter if you absolutely hate and despise him and says orange man bad. Remove your bias and look at it objectively. This is what we want to do because we want to figure out how it comes back down to the money. All right. When you remove your bias and considering the story that I showed from y'all yesterday in which the woman accused the man, if you did not watch yesterday's stream, go and watch it. The woman accused the man and filed a paternity suit in which they were about to start garnishing his paycheck, and there was possibility for him to absolutely lose his marriage and his life, and there was no retribution, there's no consequences against the woman that accused him. And then he wound up forcing her through the news for her to actually go and take the paternity test to find out, lo and behold, he actually did not even father the kid, right? But that doubt still lives possibly in the woman, in his wife's head, right? Remember when that happened yesterday. Now, keep in mind that this woman is accusing this man of something allegedly from 30 years ago. And he like, I don't even know who the fuck this woman is.
That he sexually assaulted women in similar ways. And they did this through both the accounts of two women, but also by playing the 2005 Access Hollywood tape.
You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the... I can do anything.
This tape will always come back to haunt him. Be careful who you kicking it with. Be careful who you surround yourself with. You might become famous one day. That's the thing that people don't even realize is that even aside from this, a lot of people don't even realize that the things that you do when you're just a normal everyday person, because people think it only applies to celebrities, YouTubers, and all of this other type of stuff. The things that you say the conversations that you have, the people that you associate yourself with. When I tell y'all on a regular basis, hey, divest yourself against the people that ain't adding value into your life and it's not going into the direction, the direction that you're going in your life. I mean it, not just for you to be able to level up now, but because you don't want to associate yourself with people. It's funny, right? I am definitively, in my opinion, based off of what I see, because we're all connected, and thank God for social media today, because you can see how things are going with the majority of the people. In my opinion, based off of what I see, I am quite possibly the most successful person in my graduating class. Was never voted to be the possibly most successful or anything like that, because the way that the way that they chose for people to be successful is based off of whether you were studious in school, you did your grades and all of this other type of stuff, right? So now that I'm popping, it's funny. And I was talking to Rita about this the other day. Something pops up, I posted a reel on my timeline based off of what my editor cut up on something that I was saying. It was either on this channel or the Anton Daniels channel. And it was basically highlighting how can women be valued in the same way that they have of yesteryear, when the women of yesteryear were married when they were virgins, or they were virgins when they were married, and then the women of today, they basically say, let me slut it out all my life, and then I want to meet a man at the end of the finish line. I look in my comments, and I look at somebody that had replied, and they going back and forth with somebody in the comments, and I said, I can't believe this person. I can't believe this woman, right? Not this woman. Like, I know them in real life. When we run into each other, they'd be like, yo, what up, what up? We ain't seen each other in years. I'm popping a little bit more. They go on with their life. I go on with my life. And I'm like, yo, Rita, you see this person? And they talking to me like Cynthia G is out here. And then they had the nerve to say, did you even graduate? They had the nerve to say to me, did you even graduate? Like, fam, you had my number. My number has changed now. You had my number in real life. We was all cool until I blew up. Now you in my comments like you don't even know who I am. You in my comments like you don't know who I am, talking about, fam, did you even graduate? And I'm like, yo, this is such and such. I thought that was my homegirl, whatever, so on and so forth. Basically, it lets you know that anybody can say anything at any time, and everybody is clout chasing. Everybody is clout chasing, even when you knew them. Listen, known these people for, what has it been, 30 plus years, Rita? 20 plus years, close to 25 years. Known some of these people for close to 25 years, and then all of a sudden, they acting funny style, talking about, did I even graduate? What? You know what I'm saying? Like, but what it also shows you is, just because they was allegedly rocking with you, or just because everything was cool on the surface, does not mean that they was truly cool with you. They probably felt some type of way, or they really wasn't fucking with you way back then, but they really showing their ass now, and it's just wild. Almost 27 years, Kojak. We went to school together too. You don't know these people. So when you hear stuff like this come out on a regular basis, it's difficult enough that guys are already with their backs against the wall, against the 8-ball, by the idea that anybody can say anything, and then you're guilty until proven innocent. But it's worse. It's way worse when you have to deal with the idea that somebody can come back and then just continue throw you under the bus, and this ain't even got nothing to do. It's not even relevant. It's not even, this right here of what happened on Access Hollywood is not even relevant to anything with regard to the woman, but they're tying this in because they don't actually have any real evidence that he did anything, or that he even knew this woman, or he haven't had any interaction with her whatsoever. But she can say what she want to say, and then all of a sudden, he got a $5 million judgment against him. But let's continue.
Trump's side chose not to present any witnesses at trial, but they said one reason for this is because his defense was Essentially that it never happened, that her story was a lie, it was inconsistent. Trump has said he doesn't know Carroll and that he's never met her.
Now, when you say in here, I don't know this woman and have no idea who she is, even though you're using the present tense, you're referring back to your knowledge as of when she first made the allegation.
I still don't know this woman. I think she's a whack job. I have no idea. I don't know anything about this woman other than what I read in stories and what I hear. I know nothing about her.
So it's his word against her word. Ain't no witnesses, ain't no evidence. She basically can go in, design. She has enough incentive. We don't know who's behind it. We don't know who's trying to do a hit job. We don't know nothing. Again, remove your bias for or against Trump, and then let's just make a realistic assessment of what's happening here. He said, listen, I don't even know who this woman is. And she said, oh man, he pressed his body up against me, and so now he owed me $5 million. Man, get out of here with that.
Lawsuit, she also alleges that Trump defamed her in a 2022 social media post in which he called her account a hoax and a lie and said she wasn't my type. Carroll asked for damages.
So how is that defaming? Because he said, hey, she lying on me, and she not even my type. She lying on me, and she not even my type. How is that defaming?
Both defamation and battery. One of her lawyers said in a closing argument that for E. Jean Carroll, the case was not about the money. For Trump, the immediate impact is he'll have to pay the damages that were ordered by the jury.
This was a rape claim. It was a rape case all along, and the jury rejected that, but made other findings. So we'll obviously be appealing those other findings.
He's also sure to face questions about the verdict as he continues running for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination.
So let's rewind here, all right? Let's go into what it is that she said, because then right after that, she jumps on MSNBC in order to do an interview. Now, first of all, the wildest thing is the timing. If I'm a juror, I'm assessing whether or not this actually makes sense or not. I have to look at the timing of this and saying, okay, wait a minute. So you telling me that anybody can say anything about you 30 years later and that's just the end of the conversation? I have not seen her interview. I have not seen what it is that she's saying. I'm going to be reading Super Chat shortly. Shout out to Marcus. I'm going to be reading your Super Chat. Let's go into what it is that she said.
His verdict by a New York City jury finding Donald Trump liable for sexual abuse and defamation.
They found him They said that he didn't rape her because they don't want to add that part in. They said that they found him not guilty on the whole rape thing, but they found him liable for defamation, and that's where she can get 5 M's from.
Unanimous decision was handed down after less than 3 hours of deliberation. Trump now must pay $5 million in damages to writer E. Jean Carroll.
Wild, bro.
And E. Jean Carroll joins us now along with her attorney, Roberta Kaplan. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
How are you feeling this morning, E. Jean?
I feel on top of the world. I feel yesterday was the happiest day of my life.
Was it? How come? What was the feeling?
Because the former president had smeared me so badly and so evilly and with such malice and such spite that it wasn't until yesterday I got back up on my feet and felt my name is back, and Robbie Kaplan got it back for me.
This is like, I feel like I'm living in a Twilight Zone. I genuinely feel like I'm living in a Twilight Zone. Yo, can you imagine somebody 30 years later allegedly come and accuse you of something and you don't even know who that whole name is? Can you imagine that? Somebody just out of the blue can come out and say something, and then you can accuse him of rape, but he can't accuse you of being a liar. You can accuse him of rape, but he can't accuse you of being a liar and say that you're not his type. It's an assault on men. More than it is when you pay attention to what's happening to Tyrese, if you paying attention to what's happening to Trump, if you pay attention to what's happening to the everyday man, this is an assault on men more than it is than a hit piece on Trump. So you can come up during a presidential election and accuse a man of doing something, and that's just the end of the conversation. I don't have to watch the word. I can say whatever word I want to say. I can say whatever word that I want to say.
There were a lot of people who wondered why you would bring this case, not just because of the time, but because you know.
Yes, because of the time.
From New York, you understand who Donald Trump is. You know how he fights. You knew it was going to be ugly. Everything you just laid out, you knew
Softball
that's
questions.
what was going
These are all softball questions because of the timing.
to happen. He's still doing it this morning.
Right.
So why was it so important to you, and indeed, why was it worth it to you to bring this case?
Well, I didn't
'Cause she
come
wanted the money.
forward at the time.
Right.
It took me a long time to get over feeling shame, believing it was my fault. I was
Oh, my God.
frightened he would strike back. He did. I was frightened I'd lose my job. I did. And then the ASA was passed in New York State, and it gave us a nudge. And
So the timing just so happened to happen. You was afraid you was gonna lose your department store job. She was afraid she was gonna lose her job at the department store. So it took you 30 years to figure it out.
the ability to hold him accountable for the rape. So that's why we did it.
I understand you had an exchange with Donald Trump's attorney, Joe Tacopina, after the jury delivered its verdict.
But they found that they didn't convict him of rape. That's not what they convicted him of. But she's still excited about the $5 million based off of the defamation. Come on, man. If you wanted justice with regard to one thing and you didn't get it, but you get some money, and so you were incredibly excited as a result of it.
What did you say to each other?
Joe is extremely likable. And so, of course, he is congratulating Robbie, Sean, Mike, the whole team. And my turn came up, and he put out his hand. And I looked him in the eye. I said, he did it, and you know it. And then we shook hands, and I went on by.
Did he say anything back to you?
He's extremely charming. He smiled, and, we got through it.
Robbie, we were playing a bunch of the deposition you took for Donald Trump, which was so damning in so many ways. As you look now on the other side of this,
Look at these.
One for E. Jean, what was decisive, do you believe, in the eyes of the jury?
I think that deposition video had a lot to do with the verdict. I think they saw in that video who Donald Trump is, what he believes, and how he acts, and he said it in his own words. And I think that had a huge impact on the jury in this case.
This is wild. This is absolutely wild. So this woman, Skeletor, and I do. Everything in me is telling me that this is a hit piece. This is an opportunity for them to leverage his image against him in order to come up from a financial perspective. The timing is suspicious. The story is suspicious. The body language and the conversations is suspicious. And more importantly, how can somebody just say whatever it is that they want to say, and that's just the end of the conversation, and you don't have to do anything other than just say and accuse somebody, and that's it? This is wild. This is wild. So I'm not going for it. I don't believe it. I don't believe her. I don't believe all women just because they say it. I believe in innocent until proven guilty. And this just shows you that not only the country has no backbone, our legal system has no backbone. Men are under attack. Men are under assault. Trump is under attack and under assault. And the thing that I would just love for people to just be able to run, for there to be no political agenda or anything like that in order to try to leverage it and smear somebody's name in order to prevent them from being able to be successful when it comes to their election bid. Run on your merits, run on whatever it is it takes in order to be successful. And this is just crazy. It's absolutely insane that people feel comfortable enough to ruin somebody else's pockets, money, reputation, chances of continuing to be elected. But I will say this on the other side of the question, or on the other side of this conversation. I think that they're just making him even more successful. I used to think that the image of somebody, or what image is being painted of them, is largely going to determine what their success is. So, for example, if one of my narratives is, I wish that we could have somebody with the kahunas and the backbone of a Trump, and you combine that with the charisma and the image of an Obama, and you'd have the perfect candidate, in my opinion, right? And when you think about that, I used to think that, the more that they smeared your image, the more hurtful it's going to become of you. And I was absolutely wrong. It's the complete opposite. I believe the more infamous you become, the more powerful you are. It's flipped. It's reversed. This is not the 1990s. I honestly believe that the more infamous you become, the more powerful you are. And as we go through this show, I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you. I think that the more visibility that you have, the more that people start to see through the BS, and they can start to tell who's who. Who's who?